Back every year, thousands of low-income to middle-income Long Islanders need legal help, but they can't get it because they simply make too much money. Are these folks caught in the island's extremely high cost of living and now falling through the cracks when it comes to getting that legal aid? Joining us now to speak about that is someone who knows this topic well. She is Keiko Cervantes Ospina. She's with Community Legal Advocates of New York, a nonprofit that helps provide legal aid for the needy, previously with the New York Legal Aid, NYLAG. So welcome to the show. Explain the problem a little more in depth, Ms.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Our mission is to be able to provide legal services for our clients, regardless and despite their ability to pay. The problem, especially on Long Island, is that many people are stuck where they do not qualify for legal services that are free because of the grants associated with these other organizations.
Explain the income guidelines. I don't think people really always get this.
So there are federal...
It's not just for poor people, but...
No, so the IRS sets out these federal income poverty guidelines, and that's what most civil legal service organizations use to see whether or not you qualify for their services. And if you're under 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, usually you qualify for services. But in Long Island, the median income is about at the 400%. So many of those people do not qualify for services.
So typically, if somebody was making $55,000, maybe a spouse making $20,000, they would be out of luck. And that's just me guessing with numbers here.
They would be out of luck for free services, and obviously that's not enough with the cost of living on Long Island so high. It's about 50% higher than the national average, so they wouldn't be able to pay a private market rate attorney.
Does the Constitution guarantee that everyone has a right to legal aid? You see people getting appointed attorneys.
So those are in criminal matters. So the Constitution affords you an attorney for any action where your liberty is at stake. For
what about civil? Yeah.
No. There's absolutely no guarantee to a private or public attorney.
That never has been. Has there been a movement to create that?
Yeah, so there's the Civil Gideon movement, and many advocates, including myself and all the people who work at legal services organizations around the country, really think that it should be built in. It should be built into the budget so that people are navigating the system, often very complex on their own, have somebody by their side.
Wouldn't that be an enormous burden to the taxpayer to take on that many more people?
You know, I think there's a way. One of the benefits to our models is that it's self-sustaining, so we wouldn't rely solely on government money because we run a low bono model. So our fees can be either free or low cost based on a household's size and their income. So people can pay something, but it's not necessarily the market rate. We are below market rate.
So are you looking for a reform there where that would be recognized and maybe paid by the government at a subsidized rate, maybe a new model for your industry?
It's definitely an innovative model. It's one that we believe in, and it's one that we're confident can be self-sustaining going forward. So it's something I think will become ubiquitous.
Well, we've been talking about the mechanism of it here, but who are the people that you're talking about, and what kind of cases are we talking about, and what sort of situations where they're finding themselves unable to get the aid they need?
So we represent clients in immigration issues, public benefits, food stamps. We also do advance directives, which are wills, powers of attorney, healthcare proxies. So if you want to help your family member who's elder do any healthcare proxies or power of attorneys to set out their wishes, elder law, in those cases, you wouldn't necessarily be afforded a free attorney if you are in that middle income.
And of course, you know, this doesn't even talk about people who are in the category of being immigrants or documented or undocumented, legal or illegal, right? Do immigrants have any rights when it comes to legal aid?
So the immigrant population is growing on Long Island. It's now up to 20%, and that's documented and undocumented. So they do have rights, and even people who are here with legal status fall into the crack of being working class and not being able to pay for a private attorney, and one that's reputable who handles immigration issues. Oftentimes, government-funded legal services programs aren't allowed to do any immigration work.
Yeah, and you see the debate in our country right now. People are saying, look, citizens should come first, and then folks on the other side of it saying, no, everybody counts. So you're caught in that buzzsaw right now.
Yes, but it's an issue not just for undocumented. Documented people who are here might be permanent residents, green card holders also would be able to benefit from a service like this.
Okay, so, you know, you have people, they go to court in these situations. How many would you say are being affected where they're not able to get the kind of aid that they need?
I would estimate on Long Island it'd be hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds? Hundreds of thousands?
Hundreds of thousands.
Well, and of course, attorneys are very expensive. So when people are living paycheck to paycheck, they really can't do too much about that.
There's no discretionary income to have a private attorney in many of these matters.
Many of them are quite expensive. And what about the background of the people who do get appointed in legal aid? You know, they're typically portrayed in the media, in Hollywood books, and I've seen it myself as people who are completely inexperienced.
I wouldn't... Is the question
the people who are being provided to give legal aid in many of these situations, are they qualified? Are people getting good legal aid when they are eligible for it?
Yeah, I believe that they're qualified. I believe that the problem is that they're overworked because they have so many cases on their docket.
So I see that's why a lot of times, you know, portrayals in the media of Hollywood or wherever aren't always going to be accurate. They're going to be a bit exaggerated. Well, we want to thank you for coming in and explaining this. Keiko Cervantes Ospina, she's with Community Legal Advocates of New York. Thanks for stopping in and telling us what problems folks getting legal aid are having on Long Island.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.